The archivists arrived on a Tuesday. Their ships descended through Earth's atmosphere like falling stars, sleek and silent, broadcasting messages of peace in every human language. They called themselves the Keepers of Galactic Memory, custodians of truth across 10,000 worlds. Their mission, they claimed, was simple: to catalog humanity's history and integrate it into the Great Archive, the universal library that preserved the stories of every civilization in the known universe. Ambassador Chen stood in the United Nations Assembly Hall, watching the lead archivist, a towering being of silver skin and 3 luminous eyes, address the gathered nations. "We have studied your species from afar," it said, its voice like wind chimes. "You are young, violent, and chaotic, but you are also remarkable. We wish to preserve your story before it is lost to time." The world celebrated. Humanity would join the galactic community. Their struggles, their triumphs, their entire history would be immortalized among the stars. But Dr. Sarah Okonkwo wasn't celebrating. Sarah was a historian, one of thousands selected to work with the archivists. She had spent her life studying warfare, not to glorify it, but to understand it. From the ancient battles of Thermopylae and Hastings to the world wars that had nearly destroyed her species, she knew that humanity's capacity for violence was matched only by its capacity to learn from it. The archivists set up their collection centers in every major city. Humans brought them documents, photographs, recordings, and artifacts. The aliens scanned everything with devices that hummed with unfamiliar energy, promising that each piece of history would be perfectly preserved. Sarah noticed the discrepancies 3 months into the project. She was reviewing the archived data on World War II when she saw it. The Battle of Stalingrad had been reduced to a footnote. The Holocaust's death toll had been adjusted downward. The nuances of collaboration, resistance, and moral complexity had been flattened into a simple narrative. Humans fought, many died, the war ended. She checked other conflicts. The Mongol conquest were sanitized. The Rwandan genocide was barely mentioned. The Vietnam War's political complexities had been erased, leaving only sterile casualty numbers. They were rewriting history. Sarah brought her findings to Ambassador Chen, who brought them to the archivists. The lead archivist's 3 eyes dimmed with what might have been disappointment. "Dr. Okonkwo," it said gently, "you misunderstand our purpose. We do not rewrite history. We optimize it. Across the galaxy, we have learned that dwelling on violence and atrocity only perpetuates cycles of hatred. We remove the inflammatory details, the tribal grievances, the emotional weight. What remains is pure fact, clean, peaceful, harmonious." "You're erasing our pain," Sarah said, her voice shaking. "Our mistakes, our lessons. We are saving you from yourselves. Every species that joins the archive undergoes this process. Within 3 generations, their violent tendencies fade. They become peaceful, productive members of the galactic community. Humanity will thank us." That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She thought about her grandfather, who had survived the Biafran War. He had told her stories. Terrible, beautiful, heartbreaking stories about survival, about moral choices in impossible situations, about the thin line between humanity and horror. Those stories had shaped her, had taught her why peace was precious and why vigilance was necessary. If those stories were erased, who would remember? Who would learn? She made a decision. Sarah contacted every historian, veteran, survivor, and memory keeper she knew. The message was simple: copy everything. Hide it, preserve it. They're trying to make us forget. The network grew overnight. In basements and attics, on hidden servers and encrypted drives, humans began creating a shadow archive. They scanned documents the archivist had already processed. They recorded oral histories from the elderly. They copied museum exhibits, war memorials, and genocide testimonies. The archivists discovered the resistance within weeks. They were not pleased. "This is for your own good," the lead archivist told the UN Assembly. "You are a young species. You do not understand the danger of remembering too much. We have seen civilizations tear themselves apart over ancient grudges, over the weight of historical trauma. We are trying to spare you that fate." Ambassador Chen stood slowly. "And what gives you the right to decide what we remember?" "Experience, wisdom, 10,000 worlds that now live in peace because we helped them forget." "Forget," Sarah said, stepping forward. "That's the word you use. Not heal, not reconcile, forget." She pulled out a data chip. This contains testimony from a survivor of the Nanjing massacre. It's horrific. It's painful. It's also why China and Japan spent decades working toward reconciliation instead of another war. This, she held up another chip, contains letters from a Confederate and a Union soldier who became friends after the American Civil War. Their descendants still meet every year to remember that enemies can become family. Sarah's voice grew stronger. You think memory is a burden? But for us, memory is a tool. We remember the Holocaust so we can spot genocide before it happens again. We remember Hiroshima so we handle nuclear weapons with fear and respect. We remember every war, every atrocity, every failure, not because we enjoy the pain, but because forgetting would doom us to repeat it. The hall was silent. The lead archivist's eyes flickered through a spectrum of colors Sarah had never seen. Finally it spoke. In 10,000 worlds, we have never encountered a species that wanted to remember their wars. Then you've never met a species like us, Ambassador Chen said. We're not asking you to understand. We're telling you our history is ours, all of it, the beautiful and the ugly, the triumphs and the horrors, and we will not let you take it from us. The archivists left Earth 2 weeks later. They took their clean, sanitized data, and humanity kept its messy, painful, essential truth. The shadow archives were brought into the light, expanded and protected. New monuments were built, not to glorify war, but to remember its cost. And on everyone the same inscription appeared. Those who forget history are condemned to repeat it. Those who remember have a choice. Humanity had made its choice. Years later, when other species began to question the archivists' methods, they asked Earth for guidance. Sarah, now elderly, shared what her species had learned. Memory hurts, she told them, but amnesia kills. Choose wisely. And across the galaxy, species began to remember.